University of Southampton stages a rather special party. Parties can be difficult for anyone, but this one has its own challenges. It's organised by the South of England Cochlear Implant Centre for hearing impaired patients and their families. Some have only recently regained their hearing, some can hear for the first time. Others are undergoing an assessment to see if a cochlear implant is the right treatment for them. The theme this year is Chinese New Year. The South of England Cochlear Implant Centre has been implanting deaf patients since 1990. It treats people of all ages, ranging from babies to older adults. When people first come to the centre, they're seen individually and will also take part in group sessions to find out more about cochlear implants and what they can do.
When I first came to the centre, I felt slightly anxious about all the tests that I will be having, but they made me feel ease straight away. And then I just went through the tests and all the hearing tests and felt very excited about the overall prospect of having a cochlear implant.
When Millie was first diagnosed, she was very young, only about 3 or 4 weeks old, and we went through the assessment process at the implant centre, and it was decided that she needed a cochlear implant. And yes, we did have some fears and doubts at that stage, particularly in regard to the fact that she was so young and how she would bear up with the surgery. But there's a process that they talk through and go through with you. We're talking to the surgeon several times, talking to the assessment team, talking to the audiologist and the teacher of the deaf. So there's a lot of support there to allay those fears.
The outcomes after cochlear implantation varies quite considerably. So some people can do incredibly well so that they hear practically all conversation around them, even in a noisy environment. And some people find it harder to hear in those sorts of circumstances. And the reason why it varies is because people have got different levels of hearing before they become deaf, and the reason why they became deaf may vary as well. And those two things can make a huge difference.
We explain how an implant works and the assessment process. We have several different types of implant for you to choose between. They all work much the same. This is the bit that goes inside. It goes behind your ear under the skin. And this is the part that goes behind your ear on the outside. I'm going to pass them round for you to have a look at them. Cochlear implant candidates have the opportunity to meet an implant user and discuss their experience.
Both Lucy and I wanted to talk to somebody who had a cochlear implant, and they have a contact group that you're invited to attend, and you get to meet adults who've got cochlear implants and ask them questions about the process and how they find it.
Was it an easy decision for you to go ahead with the cochlear implant?
It takes a lot of thought and consideration, but yes, it was an easy decision because I'd thought about it for quite a while. There were lots of opportunities to ask questions, meet people that had one, and that was really helpful in making the decision.
Did you feel at all anxious before the operation?
Yes, I was anxious, I can't say I wasn't, but I felt very well supported really, which made all the difference.
Patients are offered a choice of implants made by different companies. They can examine them and discover how they work.
So during today's session, we're going to be discussing the 3 different devices that we are using. In most cases, you will choose which one you would like to have, but there might be some instances when the surgeon will choose which one to have. I'll talk about the internal part, the implant, which goes in your ear. And we'll also go through how the external part, the speech processor, actually works. And I can also send them around the table so you can have a play with them and see also how they fit behind your ear.
The assessment includes a CT scan to make sure that the surgeon can get the implant into the cochlea. An MRI scan may also be necessary.
Every time you hear the beep.
Candidates come to the implant centre for hearing tests with and without their hearing aids. This will help the team make a decision about whether a cochlear implant will provide more access to speech and sound than a hearing aid does.
Press the button every time you hear the beep for me. It doesn't matter which ear you hear it from. Okay, so you want to take out your hearing aids. I'll put the headphones on.
Children are not able to do the hearing test in the same way, so we adapt it to their ability and make it more like a listening game.
Well done!
We've been very lucky with the support because the implant centre comes, we don't just attend their clinics, they come out to school, they come home as well, and they allow you to ask questions maybe with your other family members, their grandparents or other family members, and that's very useful.
Adults' ability to pick up speech is tested with and without lip reading.
Do you think the ice on the roads will melt by this evening?
Do you think the ice melt this evening?
Many people find lip reading useful when they lose their hearing. The audiologist will examine how the hearing aids help the candidate understand speech with and without lip reading.
Make sure that you don't
After the assessment, the team makes a recommendation as to whether an implant will be helpful to the patient.
Overjoyed when I got the letter to say that I was allowed to have the operation. Anxious, the thought of going through the operation, but knowing the outcome would be the outcome I want.
Paul had his operation yesterday. Mr. Mitchell takes the bandage off to check the healing process.
How are you feeling?
A little bit tired, just like this one, but pretty good, all things considering.
That's to be expected. I'm going to take the bandage off now.
Okay, please.
At the first appointment for tuning, the patient's processor is linked up to the computer and we start the process of mapping.
So that's all the measurements done, Jill. Now we're going to go live so you can hear through the microphone. Start from very quiet first. Okay, so can you hear this or can you not hear anything? What do you think? Can you hear my voice?
It's quite quiet, but I can hear you.
How does my voice sound? I'll keep on talking a bit so you can hear my voice and tell me a bit if it's how it sounds. What do you think?
It sounds tinny.
Okay.
High pitched.
Okay. I guess it's very different to how it was with the hearing aids, because the hearing aids wouldn't have been giving you access to those type of sounds. So it's going to sound quite different in the beginning.
It is very.
Is it comfortable to go away and try using this setting, or do you think it's not that comfortable at the moment?
Yes, that's fine. It's not uncomfortable or anything.
Some people say they can hear the normal hearing voice straight away. In my case, I couldn't. It was just, if I can explain, it was like beep noises. So every word that's spoken, the consonants and the vowels were all just a beep.
My relationship with my wife, for example, has been overhauled, I would say, rejuvenated, and things had gotten really quite difficult in communicating, and lack of spontaneity. A lot of patience over a lot of years. It had worn a little thin sometimes. So there's been a tremendous amount of psychological lift.
He is a different person. We are more spontaneous together, and we can now share a joke. It's a wonderful experience to see him hearing properly.
Family meal times are much more pleasant because we can hear conversations and listen, as long as there's not too many of us, that is. And that is wonderful, to be able to hear what they're saying again, and you don't feel excluded, which is what can happen if you can't hear.
Being able to hear the children better has improved my confidence as a parent.
My relationship with Mum has changed dramatically. She can hear me better, I can talk to her on the phone now, and it's just generally more fun to talk to her.
When my mum was washing up at home maybe, and I was sitting behind her, she would ask me a question like, how did you do at school? And I'd say, what, pardon. But now, and she had to turn around and I had to lip read her. But now, when she's washing up, I can just hear her much better, and it's changed my life.
I don't feel so isolated, and I feel like my personality comes out a bit more at work. And certainly my colleagues have said they found it a lot easier to work with me.
It's been tremendous, really tremendous. But it's not very good in background noise, and people that are planning or hoping to have the implant have to realise it's not something that restores your hearing as a normal person, but it's still well worth it, and I've never regretted, and nor has my daughter, for 1 minute having the operation. It's just a miracle, really.
The most important things to me are to be able to hear my children.